Hi there, and welcome to Plant CEO. In today's episode, I'd like to welcome Andre Menezes, the CEO and co-founder of TiNDLE. Hey, Andre, how are you doing?
Hi, Anand. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. We were just speaking just now, and you've just mentioned that in Singapore, where you're based, you've just got an announcement of another lockdown, which is a bit of a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, well, obviously we are closely connected to the F&B partners, and we always get affected that that the F&B sector is going to be badly affected by the restrictions. But the government seems to understand that this is the right movement to do since there was a spike in cases. Therefore, we just keep the protocols. We were born in the middle of COVID anyway. We work from home and we work digitally around the world. So it's sad, but it's I guess for the better. And we will make sure that our company remains working at full steam.
Yeah, here in the UK, we've just gone the opposite direction by having a Freedom Day where all restrictions are lifted. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out this summer.
Absolutely, I'm very curious, and hopefully it's going to be all good, and the vaccine is going to hold up well.
Yeah, I hope so too. So can you tell me your background story and how you were able to create TiNDLE?
Absolutely. So my background is pretty much non-linear. I'm an engineer, a mechanical engineer by training, and I have worked in multinational companies. I have started up my own companies in the past as well. But I guess what really took me here was a combination of a few elements. First, being an engineer, I always have this very efficiency-driven mindset. For everything I look for, I question whether we're making it the right way in terms of resource utilization and efficiency, system efficiency. So that's number one. Another element of it was the fact that I have always had this entrepreneurial blood in a way, and the first venture that I had, if I may call it, is when I was 12 years old. I started doing web design for a car dealership. So that was always there. During my university, I also started another company which my father is running until today, and then that's one other big component there. But following my studies, the path that brought me here, although it was not linear, it was all connected. So I started with an investment fund. That investment fund had a big part of its portfolio invested in a meat company, which is the largest poultry exporter in the world. I was then seconded from that fund to the company that was back in Brazil, to the meat industry. We really learned everything from farm to fork. Very blessed to have the opportunity to understand a multinational company with over 100,000 employees, selling meat to around the world. All the way to, from the grains all the way to really the consumers, and that has given me a lot of insights in the meat industry. From that, I had opportunity again to be seconded, this time to a joint venture in Singapore. This joint venture was the largest food distribution company here in Singapore. And within that journey, I had the opportunity to both distribute meat, obviously here as the leading meat importer, but I also started working with Impossible Foods and brought it to Singapore. So that journey within the meat industry was highly connected to my efficiency-driven entrepreneurial van and looking for what's next. It was clear to me that the meat industry is not going to be the answer for the next 30 years. It's great that we were able, as humanity, to feed so many people with high quality protein and very cost-effective production methods. But moving forward, that's not the answer anymore. And we are at a stage of evolutionary technology that we can come up with something better. And that's how I got connected to plant-based.
Yeah. And so when you were the GM of Country Foods in Singapore and you were distributing Possible Foods, you obviously saw the trend of the impact that company made. But what insights did you personally gain from distributing their products?
Yeah, that was, I would say it was life-changing because as a meat lover myself, I never really believed until that moment that a product, meat made out of plants directly without animals, would be able to satisfy my bar of taste and texture and experience in general. And when I had the first chance of trying Impossible back in 2018, was the moment in which I realized that it was already possible via technological developments, and that is a sector that was booming. So that was the biggest insight I had on the fact that technology was already up there for us to create as humanity again. The industry could create great products. And then working with Impossible, it's a great food. It's a great food company. They have really made, I would say that they have made a change in the food system around the planet, just like maybe Tesla have done on the industry, on the car industry. And effectively what they've done, from my point of view, they have proven to consumers around the world that great product, great meat can be made out of plants. And that has helped the second generation of great companies to grow and to flourish worldwide.
Yeah, and have you been in touch with the team at Impossible, either, you know, with the people that you're working with on your close allies there when you're distributing, or to Pat Brown himself since you launched?
I never really had a lot of contact with Pat Brown. He was obviously in the US and I was here in Singapore, but I do have good contact with many people in Impossible Foods. We every now and then our paths just cross, right, in the same restaurant or in the same menu, in the same. Every now and then we do see each other. They're good friends, and you know, the people here in Singapore, and you know, just part of the same team in a way, bringing sustainable food made out of plants without animal farming into consumers in a great shape.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about TiNDLE and your plant-based chicken alternative and the process that you use to create it?
Absolutely. TiNDLE, it all started with us understanding that, you know, there are two combinations here. One is from the macro perspective that chicken is the most universal protein. It's also highly inefficient. And there is a misconception that chicken is not, the animal chicken is very sustainable, but obviously that's when you compare it to beef, right? Which is absurd. But if you compare it to anything made from plants, it's actually absolutely not sustainable. So that was one understanding that, you know, that area hasn't been tackled yet. Yes, you have many nuggets and chicken tenders being launched around, but this is not chicken, right? This is a chicken product. We have a view that you know, for it to be really chicken, it has to be versatile. Consumers expect, and chefs especially, they do expect chicken to be extremely versatile. So from that angle, we understood that there was no one addressing that, and we had what it takes internally to develop a concept of a product that could tackle this. So the versatility, we also understood that the fibers were also very important, and also the chicken flavor and smell, mouthfeel. So basically what we've done, we have deconstructed all the great things about chicken from a consumer and from customer's perspective. And from there, we used our technology to develop a product that could tackle all of those, right? So identifying that gap in the market. And primarily our technology that we domain is primarily extrusion for the fibers. And then when we developed Lipi, which is our proprietary emulsion that emulates chicken fat, we have taken into consideration what you expect from that flavor profile, from the mouthfeel, how you expect it to behave in your mouth, when you expect it to come out, and when you expect it not. For example, if it's a beef burger or a beef steak or whatever, you want to see the marbling, you want to see the pieces of fat. But if it's chicken, I doubt you would want to, right? You want it to be intrinsically inside the fibers in a way that gives you all the taste, the mouthfeel, but not that fat, chicken fat texture. And we had to develop something that would tick all those boxes.
Yeah, I see there's a lot of companies exploring the fat side at the moment of alternative meat, and there's a lot of company obviously getting funding for that. Why is it so difficult to crack that at the moment?
I think it's an evolution process. Previously, I would say, cracking the texture is considered one of the most challenging things, and we have significant developments, right? If you look at the early stage plant-based products, when I say early stages, before the Beyonds and the Impossibles came, the textures, they were just out, right? They were really just trying to look a little bit like some meat, but basically just tackling just targeting the vegan and vegetarian market, so not really targeting meat eaters. Then you have companies that went ahead and found a way to mimic ground beef texture. That's step number one, right? And that's, as we have an evolution, more people have been developing, and our companies have been developing further in terms of different products and textures or attributes. And I guess the fact, from my point of view, it's just the same story. It's just time. I mean, as humanity, with capital being employed, with best creative minds working around that problem, we will be able to tackle it all and be able to develop technologies that will enable us to have all the great foods we want from animal farming without the animal being involved.
Yeah. So one thing that defines you as a company is that you say that you're a tech company, right? And one of the key things that you've managed to achieve was to scale really quickly without leaving Singapore. So do you want to talk about how you've done that? How, what your method is and your business model?
Yes, a tech company. And when I say tech company, we're obviously focused on the intellectual property side of things. And intellectual property for us, they are basically concentrated in three big elements. One is our brand, one is our product development capabilities, and another one is how do we manage and operate the business. Needless to say that quite a lot there, we have literally decades of experience within our small team in those elements. And we have designed a business model that would only focus on those key elements where we do see that we add a lot of value, and that would allow us to grow exponentially super quickly. And one of the major things for us was not to be the ones trying to do everything as a company. What do I mean by that? We don't need to be the ones actually producing the products, for example. We may engage with a specialized company doing production for us. Obviously, we protect our IP. We work with trusted partners. We protect in many different layers. But we don't need to be the ones effectively producing. We don't need to be the ones delivering the trucks, right? So we have used our experience from our previous journeys, myself and Timo and the rest of the team, to build this business model that we were only focusing on those elements. With that, and also considering the context, we were born in the middle of the worst crisis we have seen as humanity for so long, right? We couldn't travel in and out without quarantine, obviously, and we decided, and we were able to do a business model that allowed us effectively to scale up the production in Europe, to work with brand agencies around the world, to create TiNDLE, to find distributors in many different countries in APAC and beyond, to launch effectively in Hong Kong, Macau, and be ready to launch in Kuala Lumpur, and launch in Singapore, and be ready to launch in Dubai in September without ever leaving Singapore. If you had asked me that same question 16 months ago, I would say that this would never be possible, because no one would ever do international global business without traveling. And here we are. And this is working in our favor. Obviously, Singapore offers a very connected environment, a lot of talents, good infrastructure here, and business friendliness. So we're able to leverage this ecosystem to build it up. But that has allowed our business model to be much more robust and agile.
So in a way, are you licensing the tech out to your partners or the ecosystem that you're working with?
Not really, no. We develop our product and technology here in our R&D center with partners in different elements of the product. And then we do engage a co-manufacturer that will take the ingredients that we have developed, they will assemble it for us, will give it to us back. Like we're gonna, we have the commercial transactions and all that, and then we will sell that product to whoever is importing and distributing in the countries that we are targeting. So we effectively we're selling the product, right, from a client perspective. On Next-Gen, they're buying the product from us.
Right.
But it's not a licensing. It's really they are getting the product from us, but we are not the ones effectively getting our hands into producing it.
Sure. And how would you, or how have you maintained the consistency of the product when you're, when it's being manufactured in multiple different countries?
No, right now we only have one production in the Netherlands, so that's a challenge that we haven't yet really faced. But we had in our previous times, both Timo, myself, John, we have had experiences managing different production places and different suppliers from around the globe. This is a challenge that is real. We know that we will face, but we are confident that we can, through controls process and through having suppliers that can really offer the same ingredients in multi geographies, we are very confident that we can actually keep the same consistency.
Yeah, great. You mentioned earlier about the sustainability aspect of, obviously raising chickens. Can you explain a bit more? And do you have any stats or insights on how that compares with your product in the manufacturing side?
Absolutely. I think fundamentally the most important thing is to understand, and that was part of my, my moments in the meat industry, that the chicken industry, which despite being one of the most efficient in terms of land animals, if you think about it, you have to have a few generations of to actually produce the egg, and then you have to hatch the egg, get the day-old chick, move the chicken to the chicklet to a farm, in which you will keep feeding the chicken for 35 to 45 days, depending on what it is that you are producing and size that you expect, or if it's male or female, depends. And then you bring that yet again, you transport that to another location, which is the slaughterhouse. So obviously moving things around, you are wasting energy, really resources for nothing, but you have to do that given the massive footprint that you need of land and space to produce that huge livestock for so long, 35 to 45 days, right? Then you spend the conversion, obviously, that you're actually effectively giving food to those animals. And not all of it becomes muscle and meat and protein, right? Most of it goes back to the environment. And what happens then is that when you slaughter, on top of everything you've been doing, you lose another 30% on average of products that are not products you're looking for in terms of meat, right? Be from bones or feather or blood or just inlets, things that are not really looking at as meat, which is effectively what we're producing. So when I explain that to anyone who hasn't had experience in the meat industry, it becomes very obvious that if I just had gotten the grains isolated, concentrated, put in an extrusion process, and then process it in as a nuggets or a tender or whatever, that's much more efficient than doing that entire chain. We're basically taking out the most inefficient portion of this entire food system out of the equation and reaching basically the same outcome, same output. Nutrition is very similar, taste-wise, texture, everything is extremely similar. So we take out the animal, deliver the chicken without it, right? Without the birds. So that's how we tackle it. And now that I explained that, it's very easy just to tell you that, comparing plant-based chicken to animal chicken, same like-for-like comparison produced in Europe, for example, it's 88% less greenhouse gas emission, 82% less water usage, and 74% less land usage. What does it mean, right, in percentages? Like take the water, I think that's the most emblematic. 100 grams portion of our product, basically, that's served in a normal portion in a restaurant, it's saving the planet 31 liters of fresh water. And that's quite shocking.
It's a huge amount, yeah. And if you think about the nutritional side, you said it's quite similar, but I guess actual chicken has high level of cholesterol. But could you just explain what the difference between your products are and actual chicken as well?
Absolutely. So that's another factor we were highly concerned about doing it. Chicken is meat in general, but chicken especially is still seen as a very nutritious product, meat, and from our perspective, we went to understand what is it that consumers are looking for when they eat chicken from a nutritional profile perspective, and we realized that we're looking at a certain number of calories, a certain fat content, and a certain amount of protein. Those were the three key elements that they're really worried about, and we said that for those three elements we are going to target matching the chicken. It's considered great, we want to match it, we want to make sure that we can do it. And then we look at things that they don't really want. Cholesterol is one of them, right? So obviously we're making it from plants, therefore naturally you don't have cholesterol. But effectively what we've done, we have matched those good things about it, and we have naturally not had like cholesterol, and there are some other additional benefits. For example, we do have oat fiber, and that has dietary fiber, which chicken has not, right?
Right.
So basically that's how we did it. Calorie wise is very similar. Fat, protein, all of it is extremely similar, with no cholesterol and additional fiber.
Yeah. So I think the fiber is actually really important, especially when you're looking to absorb protein. So I think that will help. But also, I guess, as well as the whole process, but when chickens are raised, they also have diseases on them, and that can make way into the meat, whether it's like, sores or pusses or whatever inside the chicken, and that makes it into the dish. So I think you're looking at a lot healthier product, right?
Yeah, I guess an important point that you mentioned, if you look at the antibiotics consumption in the world, the human consumption of antibiotics it's really so small when compared to animal consumption, and the animal consumption is coming from animal farming. And if you look at birds, due to the fact that birds migrate, diseases spread. They do spread quite often. That's why you have so many cases of bird flu around and how they spread. So all things considered, and considering the fact that animal farming is not something really natural, you have to keep up the medicines to make sure that the chickens will be healthy through their lives, right? And that means that you may have, as you said, you may have undesired elements in your chicken that you naturally will not have with plant-based chicken.
Yeah. What's your opinion on other companies that are creating other products alternative to chicken? For example, you can also buy now fried chicken made out of seitan. So there's companies like VFC here in the UK, but also Atlas Monroe in the US. Do you have an opinion about what they're doing with their sorts of products? And do you see that as an area for you in the future?
Area for us in terms of creating fried chicken products, yes, absolutely. TiNDLE is highly versatile and it works super well. We do have prototypes already of chicken nuggets, chicken tenders, and all that. What we have done right now was develop one step further, which is to create that versatility, an element that chefs could cook with and be able to do all the versatility elements of chicken. Having said that it's very easy for us to translate that into nuggets, tenders, or anything that anyone else is doing out there. So how do I see those companies, and if I have an opinion? Yes, I do. I admire the fact that you have so many people coming up with new products. The only thing I hope is that they taste good. That's all I hope. I'm not worried at all. Is a competition against us? I do think that we're all part of the same team in a way. We are all fighting against animal farming as a technology, and the more companies that are creating great products, not bad products, the better it is for the planet. And that's how I see it. The only sort of competition we're really worried about is the competition that are releasing terrible products that will make consumers associate plant-based with bad experience. And this is very harmful for the category.
Yeah. Talking about other players, Beyond Meat just launched their chicken tenders product, and they managed to get listed in, I think, 400 Panda Express restaurants in the US. So going back to what you said, then you don't really feel that, it's encouragement that they're doing it as long as the product tastes good, but you don't really see them as a competitor.
No, yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Just imagine how many people who have never really tried plant-based, who may believe that plant-based is not good, it doesn't taste good or whatever, right? Or didn't have a chance, will now have access to that by going to Panda Express and having what I hope, and I assume that's going to be a good product. I wouldn't expect anything less from those guys. And how many people have access to that? And that's brilliant as an industry, right? And then that's what we all should be looking at from my point of view. How do we increase that overall trial awareness and acceptance from being still an early adopters game to being early majority of becoming really a mainstream product? And every movement that goes towards that direction will have consumers be more aware of, We'll make more restaurants be serving it, understanding the need. We'll make the scale be bigger and the costs go down. So all of the elements are helping us in an industry to move forward when someone comes up with a great product. That's all. That's how we see it. And yeah, we welcome all of those. We don't see this as a worrying factor. The only thing we have to do as a company is obviously do the best that we can to make sure we have the best product that will make our consumers love it, spread and distributed to many great places. That's all.
Yeah, I guess also in that light, there's probably a lot of meat eaters who would have had some bad chicken, because it's all to do with the flavoring. So in a similar light, so if there's startups being created, I wish they'll just not dismiss it and, continue to support the industry.
That's a great point. Meat has been constructed in our mindset, rightfully so, as a delicious, nutritious product, right? Coming from animals, we like it despite the fact that it comes from slaughtered animals and carcasses, not because of that, right? So we're not really attached to the way we produce it, and actually, most of the people don't really like that. Not enough to stop eating, but don't really like it. But what we really enjoy is the experience. But if you really think about it, if you don't know how to cook meat, you will overcook it, you will dry it up, it will not get the right taste and all that. The difference is that we all know, when we have been learning for decades, that if well prepared, it's going to be delicious. And with plant-based, consumers in general do not give that chance. It's once there's something go wrong, it's not a problem from the cooking ability of whoever has cooked it. It's a problem of the product. It's a problem of the category. And that's why I say that whenever someone launches a product that tastes bad, it's what I really feel bad about as a category, as part of this category.
Yeah. And what would you say is your opinion on plant-based approach and products versus the newer breeder companies that are going down the cell-based approach for also chicken-related products?
Again, the same logic applies. We're not looking at cell-based as oh my God, we're going to look at cell-based, we're plant-based, and this is not the way to go. Or some leading companies are very vocal about one or another, but for us, again, it's all about finding a better alternative to animal farming. And if that better alternative happens to be plant-based, let's make the best out of it and make sure that consumers can have access to delicious product around the world as fast as possible. We need to change this food system as fast as we can as an industry. If that happens to be cell-based, great. Let's make sure that we have more companies, more people, standing behind it and make sure it happens. So from a next-gen foods perspective, from TiNDLE perspective, we are not technology specific. We look at it from a perspective of what are consumers looking for, what is it that the planet really needs, what are the technologies and ingredients and things that really can be scaled, scalable and commercially viable around the world, that can meet taste, nutritional, health benefits. And those are the things we'll go for. We are not going to be ingredient specific or technology specific. We're just looking for what consumers really want.
And to help you reach your goals faster, you've just raised a significant amount, I would say, of $20 million to help you enter the US market. And you're planning to hire around 50 people. Can you say what sort of departments and roles that you're creating?
Absolutely. So yeah, what we raised in total now, we just extended our seed round. So it's that 20 million plus the 10 million that we announced earlier on. And that is different than our initial plan. We're not planning to raise so much so fast, but since we're getting very good traction and we have good support and encouraging support from investors that are willing to back us up and be part of this journey, we decided to accept that and to use this to accelerate our plans even further. Therefore, the huge leap into entering the US market as soon as possible. From that angle, like within 12 months is quite aggressive. And we raised enough funds to cover that entry. Obviously, if you compare with other companies that are out there, you may say that it's still very small, and it is. but we're very efficient. We're very efficient in capital, and we have this relentless pursuit of delivering on growth and on expansion. So we're going to use that for this purpose. So if you look at the money that we raise, where will it be employed? Well, we're basically on the three things that we do, right? We basically only do R&D. And so R&D is obviously very important. We want to make sure that American consumers will have products that they love, developed in America for America. We will make sure that we have a brand well communicated, again, resonating very well with the American consumers, communicating with them on the same language in a very genuine manner that's true to who we are. And we will make sure that we have great people on the ground communicating that and working closely with our restaurant partners, with chefs, with distributors, to make sure that our business networks are all working to increase the availability of the product and make sure that we have maximum possible impact and growth.
Have you thought about where you want to locate, or will it be depending on where your hires are in terms of location, or what are your thoughts around that? Are you going to create a base somewhere?
Yeah, we have initial ideas. The initial thinking right now, I mean, there are two components to it. One is that we are not tied back to one location. COVID has really shown us that it's possible to do things remotely, virtually in many places, right? So that's something we have a huge clarity in mind, and we're not in a rush to define and set one location. We'll be at least initially based in the Bay Area. I'm actually flying to the US later on. I'm going to be based in the Bay Area while I set up that business. But it doesn't mean that the US business will be 100% based in the Bay Area, San Francisco. We might have places. I mean, it's very likely that we'll have people spread around the country, or maybe some clusters in different places as well, depending on the needs and the talents that we find.
Yeah. You mentioned that you're manufacturing in Netherlands, and you have already launched in Europe. Can you speak a bit about the European market?
In Europe, we haven't launched yet. Europe is a manufacturing base for us right now. Well, European market is obviously highly attractive, but we have decided to prioritize the APAC launches that we're doing right now, Asia Pacific. And then for the big market, we're looking at the US primarily now as the first one. But we do expect Europe to come right after the US. So maybe within 18 months, we would hope to be already in the key markets in Europe and in the US as well.
Yeah. Can you say a little bit more about your investors for this round and also your last round of 10 million that you had?
Absolutely. The way we look at investors, we look at people who are, to us, it's not about the money. As you know, money is widely available in the market today, especially for this high potential space that we are, with a very capable team and an attractive business model. So for us, it's not about getting the funds or trying to get a certain valuation, but for us, it's really about bringing people that could add value into our journey. And that is in the form of very mission-aligned long-term capital. So you see Temasek, who is a name that's been growing a lot in this space and sector, and they do have the ability of being great partners. There will be great times, there will be bad times, but we do have that long-term drive of doing what's right for the company, and investors that are willing to back us up throughout that journey. So that's one great example. We also look at capital coming from entrepreneurial families and individuals that can help us with very great networks in Asia. Take, for example, K3 Ventures here in Singapore, a very prominent individual who started this fund, and very early investors of great companies in the tech space. Extremely supportive and part of our journey since day one. And then we have the likes of Bits and Bytes and GGV, so very, very well known and well recognized companies in the food tech space or the tech space that can really help us grow in. So investors for us is all about getting the right type of capital, long-term, mission-driven, looking at developing this sector in the long run, not just a quick flip of capital. Individuals that can help us with networks. And we also bring in individuals that are inspirational to the general public and population, like that could be, athletes as well. So we had Kieran Gibbs, former England national squad player who is now playing in Miami. We also have Dele Alli joining us right now, and we have other athletes as well that join us in this round. And that for us is very important because it's showing the support from very influential sectors of the society into sustainability and into plant-based. It's not a niche. It's not a fringe movement. It's really capable of taking people that are used to higher performance, who are really used to what's best in life, and supporting and backing this up for the good of the planet.
And how did those athletes get involved, and have they gone in their own journey, especially from a athlete's perspective, to eat more plant-based, mainly for recovery times, or have you had that discussion with them, or what was their key interest in the company as well?
There are different drivers. We have a few athletes, but I guess the overarching driver is really that vision of creating, supporting and standing behind companies that will make good for the planet, and being, alignment on that, and being able to use their influential power as well to within their own networks to show and stand for something, really putting their money where their mouth is, and standing behind a real cause that's important for the planet, and being part of our journey. So this is the overarching reason that we have learned from all of them, and this is what makes us very happy to have them on board.
Yeah, very good. And I'm hearing a lot more footballers, for example, also in the Premier League, that are turning vegan. But obviously here in the UK, we also have Forest Green Rovers. That is a completely vegan club and a very sustainable stadium that they have as well. So yeah, it's a good movement that's happening.
Absolutely. It's for the good of the planet. And when the beauty of having athletes behind that is that it shows that highest possible performance doesn't mean at all that you have to eat the meat, right? Look at Lewis Hamilton. I think that's the ultimate example. Formula One, highest level legend in Formula One already. It's someone who we don't have as an investor, at least right now. If he's watching us, I would just love to have him on board. We're big fans of motorsports, myself and Theo. And people standing behind that, showing that's possible. And how much better can you be as a race driver than Lewis Hamilton? So what is it that it's there, right? And the fact that he's standing behind that cause, it shows how powerful it is.
Yeah, I can connect you with Lewis Hamilton's team to see if he's interested in taking part. I think he could be interested, right? I mean, he's just won the British Grand Prix here, so yeah, he's an amazing talent and a good spokesman.
Yeah, he's a legend, really. And both Tim and I are really motorsports fans, and we do see great names, being more involved in the space, like Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton. We really admire mission aligned, vision aligned, and we would love to have more and more people with this sort of benchmark of performance being part of our journey, while we communicate to the world and we develop as an industry, develop great products and scale them up globally as we progress as a company. Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Andre, and wish you all the best of luck in your US expansion, and looking forward to see your products over in Europe and in the UK soon as well.
Thank you so much, and it's really a huge pleasure being here with you today virtually. Hope to be able to travel to the UK sooner rather than later, and having you having a chance to try the product as well.
For sure. Thanks again, and see you soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.